Wolfsbane was already in the ceremonial cup. I watched Luna Aeloria's fingers brush the rim as she smiled at her king, the man she'd just condemned to die in front of 300 witnesses. 30 seconds. That's all I had before he drank, before the poison hit his bloodstream, before the Alpha King of the Moonstone Court collapsed choking on his own wedding vows. My hand shook as I scrawled 7 words on parchment I knew would either save his life or end mine. 7 words an Omega was never supposed to speak. Your Luna set you up. Rogues are closing in. I folded it, pushed through the feast crowd, and did the one thing servants are trained never to do. I touched him. If you believe Omegas deserve to be heard, hit subscribe to Seraphina's romance stories right now. Those who think we should stay invisible and silent won't. Don't be one of them. Chapter 1. The wine cellar beneath Moonstone Court wasn't just storage. It was a cathedral of crystal and stone, bottles glowing like captured stars behind spelled glass. I'd been sent down to retrieve a 1847 Silver Peak reserved for the high table, navigating past centuries of aged blood wine and moonberry spirits when I heard voices. Female, sharp, speaking the old tongue of the northern packs. I froze between the Frostmount vintages and Shadow Ridge collections, my hand still reaching for the bottle I'd been sent for. Sana Veranos Altos. Decamoris Solon. He sits at the high table. The poison is ready. My old tongue was servant level at best, enough to know when someone ordered rare versus well done. But I caught fragments. High table. Poison. Ready. The wolves who served the Luna spoke it fluently. I spoke enough to understand dying. Tres Gardos. Nos Portos. Deca Ceremonos Moran. 3 guards. At the doors. During the ceremony tomorrow. Then she switched to something guttural and ancient, words that tasted like violence. I didn't need translation for the tone. This was assassination wrapped in ritual. Heels clicked against stone, moving toward the stairs. I pressed myself against the wine rack, praying shadows and spelled glass would hide me. Through gaps between bottles worth more than my life, I glimpsed her. Tall, elegant, white gown that probably cost more than my family's healing debts. Silver hair, sapphire eyes, a face that belonged in songs and stories. Luna Aeloria. The woman who'd be crowned queen tomorrow. The woman who'd just ordered her mate's murder. She disappeared up the stairs, perfume lingering, something expensive and floral that now smelled like funeral flowers. I counted to 30, 40, 50, waiting for my legs to remember their purpose. When I finally climbed back up, Silver Peak forgotten, my mind was cataloging what I'd heard. High table. Poison. Ceremony. 3 guards. I emerged onto the feast floor and everything crystallized with terrible clarity. The high table, positioned against the eastern wall where morning light would pour through spelled windows during tomorrow's ceremony. Azrion's ceremonial cup, already placed and waiting, etched with runes of protection that wouldn't protect against wolfsbane served by trusted hands. I scanned the hall with new eyes, my serving tray pressed against my chest like armor. 3 guards flanking the main doors, not the king's personal warriors but Luna's men, wearing Aeloria's house colors beneath their ceremonial armor. They'd been rotated in this morning. I'd thought it was just ceremony preparation. It was murder preparation. My heart hammered against my ribs so hard I thought bones might crack. I looked back at the high table, at Azrion laughing at something his beta Theron said, completely unaware that the woman touching his hand had already written his eulogy. That tomorrow, when the morning ceremony began and he drank the traditional mate bond wine, wolfsbane would turn his blood to acid. I could walk away. Clock out. Say I felt ill. Let whatever was about to happen just happen. Kings like Azrion didn't sit on thrones by accident. He'd earned enemies. Maybe he deserved this. But then I thought about my father in the healing ward on the eastern border, dying because Omega families couldn't afford real healers. I thought about every healer who'd stayed past their duty to hold his hand. Every pack member who'd fought for him when the council said no. I thought about mercy unearned and freely given. I thought, I can't just let someone die. So I grabbed parchment from my apron, clicked my pen, and wrote 7 words that would either save his life or end mine. My reflection in the ceremonial goblets looked ghost-pale as I made my way to the high table. Each step felt like walking through water, time stretching and contracting. I was hyper-aware of everything. The scratch of wool against my skin. The whisper of my boots on stone. The way Aeloria's laugh sounded like breaking ice. Your Silver Peak, Your Majesty. My voice came out steady, professional, like I hadn't just overheard a murder plot, like my hands weren't shaking. I set the crystal goblet on the white tablecloth, neat and precise. The wine caught firelight, glowing amber, and then I did the thing every Omega is trained never to do. I touched him. My thumb pressed against the back of his hand as I slid the folded parchment beneath his plate. The contact lasted maybe half a second, a violation of every rule, every boundary between his world and mine. Azrion's eyes snapped to mine. They were silver in the firelight, not cold but calculating, the kind of eyes that saw through skin and bone straight into intention. His gaze held mine for a beat too long, and I felt something shift in my chest. Not attraction. Recognition. Like looking into the eyes of a predator that could either let you pass or tear you apart. Read it, I mouthed. Please. His fingers curled around the parchment, palm covering it completely. Is there a problem with the service? Aeloria's voice cut through the moment, sweet and poisonous as nightshade honey. Azrion's expression didn't change. He lifted his goblet, took a slow sip of wine, and with his other hand, unfolded the note beneath the table where Aeloria couldn't see. I stood there, tray clutched to my chest, watching his face for any reaction. Nothing. Not a flicker, not a flinch. Just those silver eyes scanning the 7 words I'd written. Your Luna set you up. Rogues are closing in. Then his jaw tightened, so subtle I almost missed it. He set down his goblet, the crystal clicking against wood with a sound that felt final. Marlowe. My name in his mouth was a command and a question. My chambers. 10 minutes. Bring the Northern reports Beta Theron requested. I blinked. There were no Northern reports. Beta Theron hadn't requested anything. Yes, Your Majesty. Aeloria's hand tightened on his arm. Darling, the feast will continue without me for 10 minutes. He stood, 6'4" of controlled power. I have matters to attend. He walked toward the corridor leading to the royal chambers, his stride measured, casual, like he hadn't just been told his mate wanted him dead. Like his world hadn't just tilted sideways. I waited exactly 10 minutes, my hands shaking as I cleaned tables, avoided eye contact, tried to blend into the stone walls like I'd been trained to do my entire life. When I finally slipped into the corridor, my heart was beating so hard I could taste copper. The royal chambers loomed ahead, 2 guards flanking the entrance. They looked at me with the kind of assessment that made my Omega instinct scream submit, but I kept my chin up, my step steady. The king summoned me. Northern reports. 1 guard opened the door. Azrion's chambers were all dark wood and silver accents, moonlight pouring through floor-to-ceiling windows that overlooked the northern forest. He stood by the window, still in his ceremonial furs, but something about him had changed. The performance was gone. What remained was predator and calculation. Close the door. I obeyed. He turned, and the moonlight turned his eyes into molten silver. Tell me everything you heard. If you can't stand people who betray those who trust them, comment loyalty matters. Only traitors like Aeloria won't. Chapter 2. I told him everything. The wine cellar, the voices, the old tongue fragments I'd understood and the ones I hadn't. The 3 guards wearing Aeloria's colors. The ceremonial cup already positioned. The timing, the tone, the terrible certainty in her voice. Azrion listened without interrupting, his face carved from stone, only his eyes betraying anything, and what they betrayed was fury, cold and controlled. When I finished, silence stretched between us like a blade. You're certain it was Aeloria's voice? Yes. And you understood enough to know it was about poison and ceremony? Yes, Your Majesty. He moved to his desk, fingers drumming that same predatory rhythm I'd noticed at dinner. Do you know why I believed you immediately? I shook my head. Because I've suspected her for 3 months. His voice was winter wind and stone. Small things. Movements of her guards. Conversations that stopped when I entered rooms. She's Northern Pack royalty, raised in courts where poison is politics. This mate bond. He laughed, bitter. It was arranged by the council. Alliance between North and South. I knew it was tactical. I didn't realize it was terminal. The council arranged your murder? No. He turned, and something in his expression made me step back. The council arranged our mating. Aeloria upgraded it to assassination. Probably has backing from the rogue clans. They've been pushing into our territory for years. If I die during the ceremony, chaos follows. The rogues move in during the power vacuum, and whoever helped them gets rewarded. My mind raced. Then cancel the ceremony. Arrest her. On what evidence? His smile was sharp as broken glass. The word of an Omega servant who overheard a conversation in a language she barely speaks. The council would laugh me out of the court. Aeloria's family would demand blood price. The Northern Packs would see it as an insult, and we'd have civil war by spring. So you do nothing? I didn't say that. He crossed the room in 3 strides, standing close enough that I could smell pine and winter on his skin. I said I can't arrest her publicly. But I can catch her in the act, with witnesses, with proof. And for that, I need someone she doesn't suspect. Someone invisible. Someone who can get close. Understanding crashed over me like cold water. Me. You saved my life tonight, Marlowe. You risked everything to warn a king who's never spoken your name before tonight. Why? The question felt like a trap, but I answered honestly. Because I couldn't let someone die. Even someone like you. Someone like me. He studied me like I was a puzzle he couldn't solve. An Alpha King. A monster, by most accounts. A killer, by more accurate ones. And you saved me anyway. Everyone deserves a chance to fight back. Something shifted in his eyes, something that looked almost like respect. My Beta Theron is loyal, but he's known. My Gamma Kalen is clever, but he's watched. The guards report to too many masters. But you. He reached out, and I flinched before I could stop myself. He froze, hands suspended between us. You're invisible to them. Omega. Servant. Beneath notice. That makes you the most dangerous piece on the board. What are you asking me to do? Stay close to Aeloria. Listen. Report. Help me identify who else is involved. And when the ceremony happens tomorrow, when she makes her move. His hand finally completed its journey, fingers gentle under my chin, tilting my face up to meet his eyes. You make sure I'm still breathing at the end of it. I'm a waitress, not a warrior. No. You're a survivor who just proved she's willing to fight. His thumb brushed my jawline, and my wolf stirred for the first time in years, responding to an alpha's touch. I can teach you the rest. If you say yes. I should have said no. Should have run. Should have stayed invisible like I'd been trained to do since birth. Instead, I said, what happens to me if this goes wrong? If this goes wrong, we're both dead. Brutal honesty. But if it goes right, I owe you a life debt. And I pay my debts. I need healers for my father. Real ones. Not the border ward doctors who are waiting for him to die. Done. He'll have the best healers in the kingdom by morning. And if I survive this, I want out. Not just from serving tables. From this entire system that treats Omegas like we're disposable. His smile was sharp and real. Then help me survive tomorrow, and I'll make sure you never have to bow to anyone again. Deal? I thought about my father dying in that ward. About every Omega who'd been told they didn't matter. About Aeloria's cold certainty that no one would stop her. Deal. His hand dropped from my face. Then we start now. There's a passage behind the east bookshelf. It leads to a safe house in the old quarter. Beta Theron is waiting there. He'll explain the plan. You're not coming? I have a ceremony to prepare for. His expression went cold again, mask sliding back into place. And a Luna to convince that everything is exactly as she expects. Can you find the passage? I nodded. Good. One more thing, Marlowe. He caught my wrist as I turned. If this works, if we survive tomorrow, there's going to be blood. Not clean. Not honorable. Just necessary. Can you live with that? I thought about the wine cellar. About poison in ceremonial cups. About a Luna who smiled while plotting murder. If the alternative is letting people like her win? Yes. Then go. And Marlowe? His grip tightened, just enough to remind me he was predator pretending to be king. Thank you. For seeing me as worth saving. I left through the passage, heart hammering, mind racing with everything I'd just agreed to. Behind me, I heard Azrion return to the feast, heard Aeloria's laugh, bright and false, asking where he'd been. He lied smoothly. Practice. And I walked into the darkness of the secret passage, toward a safe house and a beta who'd teach me how to stop a murder at a mating ceremony. The old quarter smelled like rain and rust. Beta Theron was exactly what I expected, scarred, calculating, with eyes that assessed me like a weapon. He didn't waste time on pleasantries. You're the Omega who warned him. Yes. Can you fight? No. Shift? Barely. My wolf is weak. Good. At my confusion, he smiled grimly. Weak means underestimated. Aeloria won't see you coming. Here's what's going to happen tomorrow. He spread a map of the ceremony grounds on the table. Moonstone Court, the Great Hall, the ceremonial platform where Azrion and Aeloria would exchange vows before the pack. The poison will be in the mate bond wine. Traditional cup, shared sip. If he drinks, he's dead in minutes. Wolfsbane works fast on alphas. But we can't just swap the cup, Aeloria will have someone watching, probably one of her guards. So we're going to do something she won't expect. What? Azrion's going to drink the poison. My blood went cold. That's your plan? He'll take a suppressant an hour before. It'll slow the wolfsbane long enough for us to get him to the healers and flush his system. Risky, but survivable. What matters is Aeloria thinks it worked. She'll drop her guard, move to consolidate power, and that's when we have her. And my part? You're going to be serving the ceremony. You'll mark who moves, who signals, who's working with her. When chaos breaks out, and it will, you protect Azrion's escape route. The healers will be in the South Tower, spelled room, warded against attack. Get him there alive. I'm not trained for this. No. But you care whether he lives, which makes you more reliable than half the court. Theron's expression softened slightly. Your father's being moved to the Royal Healing Ward right now. Best healers, best care. Azrion keeps his promises. Do you? I thought about everything I was risking. Everything I could lose. Yes. Then rest. Tomorrow's going to be hell. He wasn't wrong. If you believe the weak deserve protection, bullies like Aeloria would rather watch us stay silent. Don't give them that satisfaction. Chapter 3. Orchestrated multi-chapter script continuation with escalating tension. The user wants me to continue with the complete script. I need to maintain the pacing, tension, and continue with chapter 3, 4, and 5, making sure each chapter has high stakes and ends with a CTA. The total should be around 5,000 words. Let me continue with chapter 3. Dawn broke over Moonstone Court like a blade, silver light cutting through the ancient windows. I dressed in ceremonial serving attire, white and silver, the colors of unity and peace. Ironic, considering I was preparing for war. The suppressant vial in my pocket felt heavier than it should. Theron had given it to me an hour ago with simple instructions: get it to Azrion before the ceremony. 1 hour for it to take effect. 1 hour to prepare for poison. The Great Hall had been transformed overnight. White roses and moonflowers everywhere, their scent almost overwhelming. The ceremonial platform stood at the eastern end, bathed in morning light, silver runes carved into the stone glowing with old magic. Hundreds of wolves already filling the space, nobles and warriors and pack members gathered to witness their king's mating. Aeloria looked radiant in her ceremonial gown, all white silk and silver embroidery, her hair crowned with moonflowers. She moved through the crowd with practiced grace, accepting congratulations, playing the perfect Luna. I watched her smile and wanted to scream. You look like you're about to be sick. Beta Theron appeared beside me, voice low. Breathe. Look bored. You're just another servant. Easy for you to say. The king's in the preparation chamber. North corridor. Go. I slipped through the crowd, tray balanced perfectly, just another Omega serving wine before the ceremony. The preparation chamber was guarded, but I'd been given a pass. Beta Theron's doing. Azrion stood alone, dressed in ceremonial black and silver, looking every inch the Alpha King. When he saw me, something flickered in his eyes. The suppressant? I handed it over. He drank it without hesitation, the vial disappearing into his pocket. This is insane, I whispered. This is survival. He adjusted his ceremonial cloak, fingers steady. Are you ready? No. Good. Fear keeps you sharp. He turned, and for a moment, the mask dropped. If this goes wrong, if I don't make it, Theron will protect you. You have my word. I don't want your protection if you're dead. His smile was sharp. Then make sure I'm not. The ceremony began with traditional howls, hundreds of wolves singing to the morning. I took my position near the ceremonial platform, tray in hand, eyes everywhere. Aeloria's 3 guards were positioned exactly where they'd been rotated: south entrance, west corridor, east wing. Not protecting the king. Blocking escape routes. The ceremony master called the rite to order, ancient words in the old tongue, and Azrion and Aeloria took their positions on the platform. Morning light turned them both ethereal, a perfect image of power uniting. Lies wrapped in ceremony. The mate bond wine was brought forward in a crystal goblet, moonlight silver and ancient. The cup itself was a relic, passed down through generations, blessed by moon magic and blood oaths. Aeloria's hand rested on the base. Just for a moment. That's all it took. I saw her fingers shift, so subtle, pressing against a hidden mechanism. The wolfsbane was already in the cup, spelled to activate when an alpha's lips touched the rim. Clever. Undetectable until too late. The ceremony master raised the goblet. As the moon witnesses, so the pack witnesses. Drink, and be bound. Blood to blood, soul to soul, forever as one. Azrion took the goblet. His eyes met mine across the crowd, just for a heartbeat. Then he drank. The effect was instant. His expression flickered, just for a second, pain flashing across his features. The suppressant was working, slowing the poison, but I could see the cost. His hand tightened on the goblet, knuckles white. Aeloria took the cup, sipped delicately, and smiled. She thought she'd won. The ceremony continued. Vows exchanged, runes activated, the pack howling acceptance. And through it all, Azrion stood tall, showing nothing, while poison slowly ate through his system. When the ceremony ended, chaos erupted exactly as Theron predicted. Azrion collapsed. Not dramatically. Not obviously. Just a stumble, a hand reaching for support, and then Beta Theron was there, catching him, shouting for healers, creating perfect cover. But I saw Aeloria's face. Saw the triumph flash in her sapphire eyes before she schooled it into horror. The king! She screamed. Someone help him! The crowd surged forward. Guards pushed through. And in the chaos I saw them move. Aeloria's 3 guards, converging on the south tower. Not to help. To finish the job. I ran. The servant corridors were faster, narrow passages meant for omegas and invisibility. I burst into the south tower seconds before they did, breathless, finding Theron already there with Azrion slumped in a chair, healers working frantically. North entrance, I gasped. 3 guards. Aeloria's men. Theron's expression went cold. Kaelin. Gamma Kaelin emerged from the shadows, 2 warriors with him. Already on it. The door exploded inward. Aeloria's guards charged through, silver weapons drawn, not here to question or investigate. Here to murder. Kaelin's warriors met them head-on. The clash was brutal, close quarters, no room for mercy. I pressed myself against the wall, watching steel meet flesh, hearing snarls and screams. One guard broke through, heading straight for Azrion. I didn't think. Just moved. My silver serving tray caught him across the face, the impact reverberating up my arms. He stumbled, shocked that an Omega would dare, and that moment of hesitation cost him. Theron's blade found his throat. The guard went down, blood spreading across white stone, and I stood there, tray still raised, hands shaking. Good instinct, Theron said calmly, like I hadn't just helped kill someone. Now help the healers. The lead healer, an ancient wolf named Sienna, worked with focused intensity. Azrion was conscious but barely, silver eyes unfocused, his system fighting the wolfsbane even with the suppressant. Moonroot and silver sage, Sienna snapped. Now. I found the herbs, ground them like she directed, my hands moving on autopilot while my mind screamed. The paste smelled like earth and magic, and when Sienna forced it down Azrion's throat, his body convulsed. Hold him. I grabbed his arm, feeling the heat radiating off him, his wolf fighting the poison, the suppressant, everything trying to keep him alive. His hand found mine, gripping so hard I thought bones would break. Marlowe. My name was barely a whisper. Aeloria? Still playing Grieving Luna, Theron said from the doorway. But her guards are dead. She'll know soon. Good. Azrion's smile was bloodstained. Let her sweat. It took 3 hours to stabilize him. 3 hours of herbs and healing magic, of Sienna cursing in languages I didn't recognize, of watching an Alpha King fight death with pure stubborn will. When his eyes finally cleared, when his breathing steadied, when Sienna declared him past the critical point, the relief almost broke me. You're crying, Azrion said, voice rough. You almost died. But I didn't. His hand was still gripping mine. Because you ran. Because you fought. Because you chose to matter. Sir, Theron interrupted. Aeloria's requesting an audience. She's concerned about your health. And she has half the northern court with her demanding access. Azrion's expression went cold. How long until I can walk without falling? An hour, Sienna said. Maybe 2. We don't have 2 hours. He forced himself upright, and I saw the cost, saw pain flash across his features. She's going to push now, while she thinks I'm weak. We end this today. You can barely stand, I protested. Then you'll help me stand. His eyes met mine. I told you there'd be blood, Marlowe. It starts now. Are you with me? I thought about the wine cellar. About his trust when he'd drunk poison on faith. About everything riding on the next few hours. I'm with you. Then let's go introduce my Luna to consequences. If you stand against betrayers like Aeloria, comment justice over deception. Only cowards stay silent when they see evil winning. Chapter 4. Azrion walked into the great hall like he hadn't been dying 2 hours ago. I'd given him my arm for support, disguised as courtly courtesy, feeling the tremors he hid from everyone else. The man was running on fury and willpower, nothing else. Aeloria waited on the platform, surrounded by Northern Court nobles, her father Lord Caspian at her right hand. She wore white still, mourning clothes ready to become widow's weeds. Her face showed perfect concern. My king. The healers said you were resting. The healers said I was poisoned. Azrion's voice carried across the hall, cold and absolute. Wolfsbane. In the ceremonial cup. During our mating ceremony. The hall went silent. Aeloria's expression shifted through shock, horror, outrage, landing on righteous fury. Poisoned? Who would dare? That's what I intend to find out. Azrion moved to the throne, sitting with controlled grace that hid how much it cost him. Beta Theron. Present the evidence. Theron stepped forward, carrying the ceremonial goblet in a spelled containment cloth. The cup tested positive for wolfsbane, activated by alpha-specific triggers. The poison was added sometime between the blessing ceremony and the mating rite, Only those with direct access could have done it. Meaning someone in the court, Lord Caspian said, his voice dangerous. Someone close to the ceremony preparations. Precisely. Azrion's smile was cold. Which is why I've had the tower guards questioned. Under truth spells. I saw Aeloria's hand twitch, just slightly. One of them had an interesting story, Theron continued. About 3 guards wearing northern colors who tried to enter the healing ward. Who killed pack warriors trying to stop them. Who weren't trying to help their king, but finish what the poison started. Lies. Aeloria stepped forward. Northern guards would never. These guards did. Azrion's eyes locked on hers. And they're all dead now. But before they died, one of them talked. Told us who gave them orders. Told us who promised them gold and power for murder. Would you like to guess who that was, my dear Luna? The endearment was a blade. Aeloria's perfect composure cracked, just for a moment. Then she laughed, bright and dismissive. This is absurd. You nearly died, you're not thinking clearly. These accusations are supported by evidence. Gamma Kalen emerged from the crowd, carrying a leather satchel. Gold coins, Northern Mint, found in the guards' quarters. Correspondence, coded but clear enough. And this. He pulled out a silver pendant, moonstone at its center, engraved with Aeloria's house seal. Found on the guard who tried to kill the king. Your personal seal, Lady Aeloria. The one you claimed was stolen 3 months ago. Convenient. Lord Caspian's expression went hard. My daughter would never. Your daughter arranged my murder. Azrion stood, and despite the tremor in his legs, despite the poison still working through his system, he looked every inch a king. She spoke of it in the old tongue, in the wine cellar, 10 hours before the ceremony. An Omega servant overheard. Warned me. Saved my life. Every eye turned to me. Aeloria's gaze found me across the hall, and what I saw there was pure hatred. An Omega. You're accusing me based on the word of an Omega servant? I'm accusing you based on evidence, Azrion said quietly. The Omega just confirmed what I already suspected. And you? Aeloria whirled on me, all pretense gone now. You dare accuse your Luna? You dare speak against your betters? You're not my Luna. The words came out steady. You're a murderer who hides behind a crown. Her hand moved toward the blade at her belt, instinct overriding strategy. I wouldn't. Theron's sword was already drawn. So was Kalen's. So were 24 loyal guards, all positioned perfectly, all waiting for this moment. Aeloria froze, finally understanding. This wasn't a trial. It was an execution wrapped in ceremony. Father, she said, voice tight. Are you going to let them do this? Lord Caspian looked at his daughter, at the evidence, at the assembled court. Political calculation flickered across his face. Then he stepped back. The law is clear. Attempted murder of a reigning monarch is treason. The penalty is death. Father. You've shamed our house. His voice was ice. I won't compound that by defending the indefensible. Aeloria's face went white, then red, cycling through emotions faster than I could track. Then she smiled, and it was the most terrifying thing I'd ever seen. You think you've won. She looked at Azrion. You think killing me ends this? The rogue clans are already moving. By tomorrow, they'll be at your borders. By next week, they'll be in your territories. I was never working alone. I was never even the one in charge. I know. Azrion's voice was calm. Your contact in the rogue clans was Chief Ravek. Former beta of the Western Pax, exiled 15 years ago for treason. He's been building an army in the wastelands, waiting for an opportunity to return. You gave him one. Then you know you can't stop them. I know they expected their inside agent to be crowned queen today. To open the gates when they arrived. To hand them the kingdom on a silver platter. His smile was sharp. What they're getting instead is a united pack, ready for war, with their traitor executed and their plan exposed. Think that'll slow them down? Aeloria's confidence flickered. Take her to the cells, Azrion ordered. Trial at moonrise. The pack will witness justice. As guards moved to seize her, Aeloria lunged. Not at Azrion. At me. She was fast, Luna trained, her blade singing as it left its sheath. I saw silver flash, saw death coming, and knew I wouldn't be fast enough. But Azrion was. He intercepted her, his hand catching her wrist, twisting with controlled violence. Her blade clattered to the ground, and he held her there, face to face, predator to failed predator. You wanted to know why I believed in Omega over you? His voice was soft enough that only those closest heard. Because she risked everything for nothing but conscience. While you risked everything for a crown you never earned. That's the difference between worth and worthlessness. He released her, stepping back, letting the guards take her. Aeloria's last look was at me, pure venom. You should have stayed invisible, Omega. Should have known your place. What you've done today will haunt you. The rogues will come for you. They'll make you watch while. Enough. Lord Caspian's voice cracked like a whip. Take her away. They dragged her from the hall, her threats echoing until the doors closed. Silence fell, thick and heavy. Then Azrion spoke, addressing the assembled court. Today we witnessed betrayal from the highest level. Tomorrow, we may face war. But tonight, we remember why we're worth defending. Not for crowns or thrones. For each other. For the pack. Howls rose, tentative at first, then building, until the hall thundered with them. And through it all, Azrion's eyes found mine. Thank you, he mouthed. I nodded, too overwhelmed to speak, feeling the weight of what I'd just done, what I'd become. The trial at moonrise was swift. Aeloria confessed under truth's spell, confirmed the conspiracy, named names. Chief Ravek and the rogue clans. 3 other northern nobles. 2 southern traitors. The execution happened at midnight. I didn't watch. Couldn't. But I heard the howls when it was done, heard the pack's approval echoing across the court. Justice, they called it. Maybe it was. After, Azrion found me in the eastern gardens, where moonflowers bloomed white and silver. You didn't watch. I'd seen enough blood for one day. He nodded, understanding. Your father woke up. The healers say he's recovering well. Asking for you. Relief crashed through me so hard I had to sit down. Azrion sat beside me, close enough that I felt his warmth. What happens now? I asked. Now we prepare for war. Ravek won't give up just because we executed his inside agent. He'll push harder, faster. We have maybe a week before they reach our borders. And me? He turned, silver eyes reflecting moonlight. That depends on what you want, Marlowe. You've more than earned your freedom. Your father's healed. You could leave, start new somewhere safe. Or you could stay. Not as a servant. As pack. As something more. My heart kicked against my ribs. More? The mate bond with Aeloria never completed. The ceremony was interrupted. In wolf law, that makes it void. And I find myself without a Luna. His hand found mine. I'm not asking for an answer now. You've been through hell today. But when this is over, when the war is won, if you wanted, I would be honored. I stared at him, at this Alpha King who'd drunk poison on faith, who'd trusted in Omega's warning, who looked at me like I was worth something beyond survival. Ask me after the war, I whispered. His smile was genuine and warm. Deal. If you believe actions speak louder than words, smash that like button. People who talk big but do nothing wouldn't. Show you're different. Chapter 5. Chief Ravek's army reached our borders on the 7th day, exactly as Azrion predicted. 3,000 rogue wolves, exiled and desperate, following a charismatic killer who promised them redemption through conquest. I watched from the battlements as they assembled in the valley below, torches blazing like fallen stars, their howls echoing against stone. You don't have to be here, Azrion said, appearing beside me in battle armor, all dark steel and silver accents. Yes, I do. I'd spent the last week training with Kaelin, learning to fight properly, to channel my weak Omega wolf into something useful. I wasn't a warrior. But I could hold a blade. Could stand. Could refuse to run. Stubborn. You say that like it's new information. His laugh was brief, cut short by the sound of war horns below. Ravek himself rode at the front, massive and scarred, carrying a banner of broken chains. The symbol of the exiled, the dispossessed, the ones who believed the kingdom owed them power. Alpha King Azrion. His voice carried, magically amplified. I offer terms. Surrender, and your pack lives as servants. Resist, and we burn everything. Charming, Theron muttered. Azrion raised his hand, his own magic amplifying his response. Chief Ravek. I offer counterterms. Leave now, and I'll let you live long enough to regret this. Attack, and I'll feed your corpse to the crows. Ravek's laugh rolled across the valley. Still arrogant. Still certain of your crown. Let's see how certain you are when I'm wearing it. The first wave hit our walls an hour later. They came with ladders and rage, climbing faster than seemed possible, their desperation making them fearless. Our defenders met them with steel and fire, pushing them back, but more kept coming. I fought on the eastern wall with a group of Omegas who'd refused evacuation. We weren't strong, but we were quick, and we knew how to work together. When a rogue crested the wall, we took him down as a group, overwhelming individual strength with collective survival. The battle raged until dawn, breaking with neither side victorious. We'd held the walls. They'd proved they could reach them. Stalemate. But stalemates favor defenders. By the third day, Ravek's forces were tiring, their supplies dwindling. Azrion had planned for siege, had stores to last months. The rogues had planned for quick victory. That's when Ravek changed tactics. The challenge came at sunset on the 5th day, delivered by a captured scout we'd been treating honorably. Single combat. Chief Ravek versus Alpha King Azrion. Victor takes all. The kingdom or the army. Winner decides. It's a trap, Kaelin said immediately. Obviously. Azrion studied the message. But if I refuse, he'll spin it as cowardice. Turn the pack against me. And if I accept? You're still recovering from wolfsbane poisoning, Sienna interrupted. Your system isn't fully cleared. You'll be fighting at half strength. Then I fight at half strength. Azrion's expression was set. We can't sustain this siege indefinitely. Eventually, they'll breach, and then it's street-by-street warfare. Civilians die. Children die. If I can end this with one fight, let me fight him. The words left my mouth before I could stop them. Everyone turned. Marlowe, Azrion started. Pack law allows substitutes in challenges. A Luna can fight for her alpha. I met his eyes. You said when this was over, you'd ask. I'm giving you my answer now. I'll be your Luna. And I'll fight for you. You'll die. Maybe. But you'll die slower with poisoned blood. At least I'm fresh. I stepped closer. You trusted me with your life once. Trust me again. The silence stretched. Then Azrion smiled, sharp and proud and desperate. You're insane. I'm practical. If you do this, if you fight him, there's no guarantee Ravek honors the outcome. He could kill you and attack anyway. Then you'll avenge me. I took his hand. But if I win, this ends. No more siege. No more death. Just over. Theron cleared his throat. For what it's worth, it's actually brilliant. Ravek's expecting Azrion, half strength, easy victory. He gets an Omega Luna instead, he'll be overconfident. Might give her an opening. Might. Azrion's grip tightened on my hand. Or might get her killed. Your choice, my king. I used his title deliberately. Trust me or don't. He pulled me close, forehead against mine, breathing hard. I'm going to regret this. Probably. But I trust you. He kissed me, quick and fierce. Win. That's the plan. The challenge was accepted. Single combat at moonrise, in the valley between armies. Witnessed by both forces, bound by blood oath and moon magic. Kalen spent the remaining hours teaching me everything he could. Not about strength, I'd never match Ravek there. About leverage, about speed, about fighting dirty when fighting fair got you killed. He'll underestimate you, Kalen said, demonstrating a move for the third time. Use that. Make him think you're weak, scared, breaking. Then go for vital points. Eyes, throat, joints. No honor, just survival. No honor, I repeated, practicing the motion. And Marlowe? He gripped my shoulder. If it goes wrong, if you're about to lose, I need you to know, what you did, warning the king, standing with us, it mattered. You mattered. Thanks for the pep talk. His smile was grim. Just being honest. Moonrise came too fast. I walked into the valley wearing light armor, carrying a silver blade, feeling every eye on me from both armies. Above, the moon hung full and heavy, bathing everything in pale light. Ravek waited at the center, massive and scarred, looking at me like I was an amusing mistake. This is Azrion's champion? He laughed. An Omega? He insults me. He trusts me. I took my position, blade ready. Can your people say the same about you? His expression darkened. Bold words for dead prey. The moon judge, a neutral elder from neither side, raised her hand. Challenge accepted. Combat begins at moon's peak. First to yield or die, ends it. Blood oath binds all present. May the strongest survive. She lowered her hand. Ravek moved. He was fast for his size, closing distance before I could blink, his blade singing toward my throat. I dropped under it, rolled, came up slashing at his legs. Contact. First blood, mine. His roar shook the valley. What followed was brutal. He was stronger, more experienced, a warrior with decades of kills behind him. I was an Omega waitress who'd had a week of training. But I was also desperate, and fighting for something he'd never understand. Home. Pack. A king who'd trusted me when no one else would. I used everything Kalen taught me. Fought dirty, went for eyes and joints, made him work for every inch. Drew blood again and again, small cuts that added up, that slowed him, that made him furious. Stay still. He roared, blade cleaving air where my head had been. No. I spun inside his guard, drove my blade toward his ribs. He caught my wrist, twisted, and I felt bones grind. My blade fell. Then his hand was around my throat, lifting me off my feet, choking the air from my lungs. Weak, he snarled. Just like your king. Just like this entire soft kingdom. Black spots danced in my vision. I heard Azrion scream my name from the walls. And I remembered. The wine cellar. The note. The ceremony. Every moment I'd been invisible, ignored, dismissed as nothing. I was done being nothing. My hand found the hidden blade Kalen had given me, the one strapped to my thigh, the one Ravek hadn't bothered checking for because who expects an Omega to fight dirty? I drove it up, under his armor, between his ribs, straight into his heart. His eyes went wide. His grip loosened. I fell, gasping, as he staggered back, silver blade buried in his chest. You. He coughed blood. Impossible. I'm not weak. I stood, retrieving my fallen blade. I'm underestimated. There's a difference. He fell to his knees, then forward, life leaving him in a rush of expelled air. The Moonjudge's voice rang out. Chief Ravek is dead. Challenger Marlowe stands victorious. By blood oath, the challenge is complete. Silence. Then the rogue army began to kneel. They'd sworn to follow the victor. And the victor was a kingdom that had just been defended by an Omega. If you believe underdogs can win, drop a comment saying never underestimate the underestimated. Only quitters won't. Azrion met me at the valley floor, catching me before my legs gave out. You're insane, he said again. You mentioned that. And brilliant. Better. He kissed me while both armies watched, claimed me as his Luna before the moon and pack, made it official in a way that couldn't be undone. When we finally broke apart, he whispered, my answer is yes. I didn't ask anything. You didn't have to. The rogue clans dispersed peacefully, most returning to the wastelands, some asking to join our pack properly. Azrion accepted the ones who'd only followed Ravek from desperation, who wanted a real home instead of exile. My father recovered fully, moved into the eastern quarter near the healing ward where he now worked as an assistant, helping other wolves recover. And I became Luna. Not through arranged politics. Not through noble blood. Through choice, and blood, and a note slipped across a table when it mattered most. 3 months later, at the winter solstice, Azrion and I stood on the battlements watching snow fall over the kingdom. Do you regret it? He asked. Everything that happened. Everything you became. I thought about the wine cellar. About poison and betrayal. About single combat under moonlight. About going from invisible to invaluable. No. For the first time in my life, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. He pulled me close. With me. With you. Below, the kingdom celebrated, wolves howling in joy, music drifting up from the great hall. The court was rebuilding, northern and southern packs learning to trust again, and we were leading them. Not perfect. Not easy. But ours. And in the end, that's what mattered. Not crowns or thrones or noble blood. Just choice. Just fighting for what you believed in. Just an Omega who'd refused to stay invisible, and a king who'd been wise enough to listen. The snow kept falling, covering old wounds, making everything clean and new. It was beautiful. It was home. If this story moved you, if you believe everyone deserves to be seen, subscribe to Serafina's Romance Stories. Because people like Aeloria want us to stay quiet, invisible, powerless. Prove them wrong. Hit that subscribe button and show them we refuse to disappear.